This time I've got something unusual to show to you. An African sickle sword. This type caught my attention recently and I got this one on eBay. Yes, I know, buying antique swords or antique anything on eBay is generally a big no-no. You never know what you're getting. But this one seemed reasonably priced and I was really curious. I just wanted to get my hands on one of these. Very interesting design. I wasn't able to find too much information about this, but I'll talk about what I have. So first of all, this is made of iron and made around 1900. And this type of sword was generally in use in Central Africa. It seems most commonly associated with the Azandi. Zandiland covers parts of today's southern Sudan, the southeastern Central African Republic, and northern Congo. But it was apparently also used by other cultural groups, all in the same general area, all Central Africa. I've seen this referred to as Mambele. But one person on the Ethnographic Arms and Armor Forum pointed out that Mambele is actually a different type of sickle knife, which is used by the Mangbetu. It's also called the Trumbash, or however you pronounce it. And this here is supposedly called Mambele. So I can't confirm or disconfirm that. You often see debates about African weapons, about whether or not they are actual weapons or ceremonial or ritual objects. Having studied archaeology for a while, I know that quite often when archaeologists call something a ceremonial or ritual item, what they really mean is we have no freaking clue what this is. And this seems like a perfectly functional weapon to me. I don't know how they were used. I mean, it is generally very difficult to reconstruct African martial arts, but I found one channel on YouTube, Stith, where you can actually see demonstrations with this kind of sword. And I'll link the channel down below in the video description. Those guys definitely seem to know what they're doing. Personally, I definitely like this blade shape. It is absolutely functional. This one here is made of iron, so it is not as tough as steel and it can bend relatively easily. In fact, this one did because, well, I couldn't resist actually trying it out, testing it. And I know that makes a lot of collectors cringe. You're not supposed to do anything with them other than display them. I just really wanted to know how this performs. It's a rather specialized design, not the most versatile in the world, but certainly effective for what it's trying to achieve. And I see it as kind of a sword axe hybrid, or sword pick hybrid if you want to be more precise. The point is very effective for striking, obviously, and you can get quite a pronounced draw cut with this strong inwardly curved blade. It has a very thin, almost wafer-like edge, and that is quite similar to a regular scythe or sickle. That helps reduce drag when slicing. So definitely a very sharp and effective cutting blade. It's double-edged on the final hook portion of the blade, so you could cut with that as well, and you could also strike with this part. So that makes a lot of sense. I have no idea what the hole is for, if that's just decorative or if it has some kind of purpose. Couldn't say. I also like how the handle is shaped. Relatively simple but practical. It's flared towards the blade, so prevents the hand from slipping up, and also towards the back. So the hand is locked in there pretty well. Also feels very comfortable, and you can tell the edge, you can feel the edge alignment very easily. It's also quite an interesting solution for attaching the handle, because apparently all they did was just bend over the part of the tang that stuck out, so that holds on to the grip. This part here I assume is a guard, but I'm not entirely sure. The way it's shaped, it wouldn't really help too much, because if an opponent's blade slides down, it would just ride off there and it could still potentially get the fingers. If this part here was open, I could totally see that. Then it could actually catch an opponent's blade. But I don't know if it's really supposed to be a guard or if it's just ornamental. I found that it slices through light targets really well. It's a pleasure to cut with. The only problem is tougher targets, At least I had some issues with that. Tatami mats, I was not able to cut all the way through. May just be because I'm not trained with this weapon, but I think the reason is the way it's shaped, and also it's really lightweight. It weighs only 600 grams or about 1.3 pounds, so that's quite a light blade. So it doesn't have a lot of heft, and clearly it's meant to slice through unprotected skin and flesh. Because as far as I'm aware, African warriors didn't wear any armor. Using the main edge in a slicing cut would have worked perfectly well when facing opponents with mostly uncovered arms and upper bodies and necks. Against armor, you could still use the point to try to puncture through it. They also used shields, so against shields this is quite effective. For one, getting around the shield. Let's see if I'm using my small shield here, and the opponent's blade makes contact here. This still sticks out quite a bit, so it could still get my arm behind the shield, or the shoulder, or even the neck. And of course it can hook in there, manipulate the shield that way. You could try to catch the hand. And of course the most severe injury could be caused by puncturing the body with the point and then cutting outwards. Yeah, I know, macabre. This being made of iron, and I'm guessing unhardened, maybe except the edge, also means that it can bend. And that's exactly what happened when I tried to cut the tatami mats. It was already bent when it came. It's a little more pronounced now. I don't know how well you can see that. But good part is it's pretty easy to bend it back in shape. So that's not that big of a deal. It would have to be resharpened more often than a steel blade, of course. One thing I noticed is you can easily put the thumb up there on the grip. And that gives you just a bit of extra control. In general, since this is a fairly light blade, it is pretty nimble. Not quite as much as you may think because of the point of balance. Yeah, edge on the finger, that's always nice. But looks like it's pretty much in the middle. So the balance would make striking with the point very effective. I think that would probably be the most brutally effective way of using this. And I have no idea if they did that, but the single-edged and relatively narrow blade also seems to invite half swording. You could easily grab this without cutting yourself and then use this in close quarters to hook with, do slicing cuts, do cuts with the tip. And even if you did not want to grab this, you could still push against it. Thrusting, of course, is not an option with this type of sword. It just wouldn't do anything. You could try to angle it like that, but that is already chopping with the point. That, of course, works very, very well. Straight thrust, not really. I suppose you could try to go for a push cut with the false edge like that, but I don't think that would be too effective. And as exotic as this may look, sickle swords are not all that uncommon. One obvious comparison is of course the Egyptian kopesh, or if memory serves, I think I've heard that it's pronounced kefesh, something like that. But it's kind of the reverse, because this has the edge on the outside as opposed to the inside. But if I turn it around like this, you can see there is some resemblance. More so than that, I would say you can see some resemblance to the kukri. Also inwardly curved edge, not anywhere near as pronounced as this, but also the handle shape is not too dissimilar. As far as medieval Europe is concerned, there is a historical manual by Paulus Hector Meyer that covers fighting with sickles. And whether or not that was really intended for actual fighting is debatable. He also has some other very exotic weapons shown for fighting. So that might just have been martial arts interest on his part. But there are techniques shown in that manual that would definitely work. Also involves a lot of hooking the limbs. So that's pretty much all I have to say about this for now. If anybody has more detailed information about this type of sickle sword, please feel free to share it down below in the comments. And if you happen to be a bladesmith watching this, if you think you could make a customized steel version of this, please please let me know. I would definitely be interested in that. I would like something with a more pronounced guard, some kind of cross guard maybe. And steel blade would definitely be good to have for the tests. And to everyone else, I hope you found this entertaining or interesting or whatever else. And thanks for watching.